You ever have one of those moments where something that seemed like a blessing turns out to be the start of everything falling apart? That's what this story is for me. It started with a car. A damn car. A red 2016 Toyota Camry with just under 50,000 miles on it. It wasn't new, but it was clean, reliable. Had Bluetooth and a backup camera and all the stuff I couldn't afford at the time. My parents gave it to me on my 22nd birthday. I remember standing in the driveway, staring at it with my mouth hanging open, while they grinned like they'd just handed me the keys to freedom. My mom even put one of those big red bows on it, like in those cheesy holiday commercials. My dad tossed me the keys and said, "Just don't crash it." I laughed. We all did. It felt like one of those rare moments when everything was good. You know what I mean? Like we were finally in sync. No tension, no fights. Just love and gratitude and that warm, fuzzy thing families are supposed to have. And for a little while, it was exactly that. I used that car for everything: work, school, dates, road trips with friends. It became part of me. I kept it clean, got the oil changed, even named it Ruby. Dumb, I know, but I'd never had a car that was just mine. Or at least I thought it was mine. That's where it all gets murky. See, I didn't read the paperwork too closely. I was just excited. The car was registered under my dad's name. Insurance, too. He said it was to save on costs, that it would help with the monthly payments. I didn't question it. I was 22, working part-time, and just grateful to have something that ran. Everything was fine until I started dating Hannah. Now, Hannah was the kind of girl who lit up a room. Not in a flashy, look-at-me way, but in a quiet, magnetic kind of way. She was smart, funny, brutally honest, and she didn't pretend to be someone she wasn't. I met her in a philosophy class, of all places. She wore band tees and combat boots and had this habit of asking professors uncomfortable questions that no one else dared to ask. I liked her immediately. My parents? Not so much. They never came right out and said it at first, but I could tell. Mom made little comments about Hannah's look. Dad asked me once if she believed in anything at all, or if she was just another one of those angry types. I brushed it off. Figured they'd warm up to her eventually. But they didn't. Every time I brought her around, the air got thick. Hannah could feel it too. She was polite, tried her best, but you can only take so many side eyes and passive-aggressive remarks before it starts to wear on you. Still, I didn't back down. I liked her. More than liked her. We were good together. She challenged me, made me think, made me laugh when I was stressed about school or work. She was the first person I'd ever dated who felt like a partner, not just a fling or a phase. And I guess that's what scared my parents the most, because the closer I got to her, the more distant I became from them. And they felt it. I could tell. Things really started to shift that summer. I got a full-time job offer doing social media and web content for a local company, and between that and Hannah, I didn't have much time to hang around the house. I wasn't even living there anymore. I'd moved into a small apartment with 2 roommates across town. I still stopped by now and then, especially on Sundays, but it wasn't like before. I guess they felt like they were losing me. But instead of saying that out loud, they started getting weird about the car. It began with little things. My dad would text me saying, "Don't forget the registration is coming up." Then, "When was the last time you rotated the tires?" Which, okay, fair questions, but it started to feel more like control than concern. One day he told me to bring the car over so he could check the brakes. I did, thinking maybe he was just trying to be helpful. But when I got there, he started questioning me about Hannah. "She still around?" he asked, leaning over the hood like it was casual. "She treating you right?" "Yeah," I said. "Why?" He wiped his hands on a rag and didn't look at me when he said, "Just don't want to see you throw away your future on someone who doesn't fit into the family." I remember feeling my chest tighten. I didn't say anything at first. Just nodded, let it go. But something shifted that day. I realized he didn't just dislike her, he genuinely thought she was a threat. And a few weeks later, it all came to a head. Hannah and I had planned a weekend trip out to the lake. Nothing big, just 2 days to unplug, hike, be together. I'd cleared it with work, packed the car, even brought snacks Mom used to make for road trips growing up. I was excited, happy. It felt like a breath of fresh air. But the morning we were supposed to leave, I walked outside and the car was gone. At first, I thought it was stolen. I freaked out, called the police, filed a report. My roommates were panicking too. But then, 2 hours later, I got a call from my dad. He said, real calm, "I picked up the car this morning. It's in our garage." I was stunned. I asked what the hell he was thinking. And he just said, "We needed to talk before you went off making more mistakes." I hung up on him. Got a ride across town from a friend, stormed into the house, and there it was, Ruby, parked neatly in the garage like it hadn't just been kidnapped. My mom was sitting at the kitchen table when I walked in. She looked like she'd been crying, but also like she wasn't going to back down. "We're worried about you," she said. "She's isolating you. We barely see you anymore." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I told them they were crossing a line, that they had no right to touch my car, no matter whose name was on the papers, that I was an adult and I didn't need their permission to love someone. My dad just shook his head and said, "You need to choose what kind of life you want, and who you want in it." That was the moment I realized they weren't going to give the car back, not unless I gave up Hannah. And I wasn't going to do that. So I walked away, slammed the door, called Hannah, and told her everything. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "I'm sorry. I never wanted to come between you and them." But I told her she didn't. They were the ones who drew the line, not me. I didn't talk to my parents for a couple weeks after that. Not out of spitey, at least not entirely, but because I didn't know what to say that wouldn't come out like a scream. I was angry, sure, but I was also hurt in a way I hadn't expected. It wasn't just about the car. It was about the fact that something they gave me with a smile, something that felt like trust and love and support, turned out to have strings attached I never saw coming. And it wasn't even subtle. It was clear as day now this wasn't a gift. It was leverage. And when I didn't behave the way they expected, they pulled it back like a punishment. That did something to me. It made me question every gift they'd ever given, every favor, every helping hand. Was it all transactional? Was there always a catch? Meanwhile, I had to find a way to function without the car. I borrowed rides, took the bus, even biked to work a couple times in the pouring rain. Hannah offered to drive me, but I said no. I didn't want her to feel like she had to pick up the slack. I wanted to figure it out on my own. About a month later, I saved up enough to buy a beat-up old Corolla from a guy on Craigslist. It ran. Barely. But it was mine. Fully mine. I registered it in my name, paid the insurance myself, and when I got the title in the mail, I sat there staring at it for a long time. I didn't feel proud. I felt exhausted. Like I had to claw my way out of a hole I didn't dig. But at least I was out. Things with my parents stayed cold. We texted occasionally, mostly about logistics mail that still went to their house, bills from when I lived there. But the warmth was gone. The casual, "How's your day?" or "Come over for dinner" stuff. Gone. They didn't even invite me to Thanksgiving that year. I spent it with Hannah's family instead. Her mom made sweet potato casserole, and her dad spent half the meal trying to fix the leaky faucet. It was messy, loud, imperfected. It felt more like home than anything I'd had in a long time. That night, Hannah and I sat on her porch, wrapped in blankets, sipping hot cider, and she asked if I missed them. I didn't even have to think. "Yeah," I said. "But I don't miss how they made me feel." And that was the truth. Because even when we were getting along, there was always this unspoken pressure to be who they wanted me to be. And the moment I stepped outside that mold, the support disappeared. Love shouldn't work like that. A couple weeks later, I got a message from my mom. Just a line. "We're selling the Camry. Let us know if you want to buy it back." I stared at that text for a long time. Thought about all the memories in that car, all the miles, all the music and late night drives and early morning coffees, and then I deleted the message. I didn't respond. A few months passed, and life started to settle into something that felt steady. My job was going well. Hannah and I had found a rhythm that was ours, not shaped by anyone else's expectations. The old Corolla still coughed when I started it, but it got me where I needed to go. More importantly, it reminded me every day that I didn't owe anyone for it. I built that, mile by mile, on my own. Then one afternoon, I got a call from my dad. No text beforehand, no warning, just his name flashing across the screen like it was 2017 again. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something told me to pick up. His voice was quieter than I remembered, more tired. He asked how I was. I said I was fine. Then he asked if we could talk. "In person," he said. I paused. I wanted to ask, why now? But instead I just said, okay. We met at a coffee shop, the same one we used to go to after my baseball games in high school. He was already there when I arrived, nursing a black coffee, staring out the window like he wasn't sure what he came for. When he saw me, he stood up, a little too fast, like he thought I might turn around and leave. We sat. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then he said, "I think we messed up." That was it. No grand speech, no long-winded justification, just those 5 words. I looked at him, waiting. He kept his eyes on his cup. "We thought we were protecting you," he continued. "We didn't like how she challenged us, how she changed you. but maybe that wasn't a bad thing. He took a breath. The car, that was a mistake. We shouldn't have done that. We shouldn't have made love feel conditional. I didn't say anything right away. Part of me wanted to throw everything I'd felt in his face. The betrayal, the guilt, the way they made me feel small and disposable. But another part of me, the tired part, just nodded. Thanks for saying that, I said. And I meant it. We didn't hug. We didn't fix everything in that one conversation. But it was a start. A crack in the ice. That night, I told Hannah about it. She didn't say much. Just smiled, kissed me on the forehead, and said, "I'm proud of you." And in that moment, I felt more seen than I ever had sitting around that old kitchen table in my parents' house. Things with my parents aren't perfect. They might never be. But they've gotten better. Slowly. They've started asking questions instead of making assumptions. They've stopped using gifts as tools. And I've started learning how to set boundaries without guilt. Sometimes I still think about Ruby, the Camry. I wonder who's driving it now. I wonder if they ever feel the weight of what that car represented in someone else's life. But I don't miss it. Not really. Because that car didn't give me freedom. Losing it did. It forced me to grow up in a way that hurt like hell, but showed me who I really was, and who I wasn't. I wasn't someone who could be bought. I wasn't someone who would trade love for approval. And I definitely wasn't someone who'd ever let anyone decide who I could love, just because they thought they knew better. In the end, I didn't lose a car. I found myself. And that, I've learned, is the kind of ride worth taking.